How's it going, guys? This is the week of December 12th. Weather forecast for deer hunting. And the big story this week is there's not really a big story this week. um, Main takeaways are that it's going to be pretty much around average temperatures for most of the country all week long. And then once we get into the weekend, you start to see, once we get into next week, we may see some pretty serious cold coming out of Canada and making its way actually all the way into North Texas. And the GFS has not run out far enough to pick this up on the latest run. But if we go back to the 12Z, this is showing up on there as well. Big push of Arctic air all the way into the southern plains, and this shows up on the last two model runs before that too. So as of right now, it's been pretty consistent showing up on this. I've talked about before that when you go past 200 hours, you're getting off into model fantasy land, and you don't want to place bets on what things are going to look like because it's anybody's game. But one of the things you can do as a sanity check when you start getting out that far in the models is just look at previous runs and see if that same thing keeps showing up on there, and then as new runs come out, keep checking it again. And if it's still showing up on there, the more it shows up on there, the farther you go out, the more you can kind of put stock in that actually happening. So right now, it looks like could be, the weekend before Christmas and around Christmas time could be really cold for a lot of the country. So that's something to keep in mind. But otherwise, leading up to that, it's going to be pretty much average. 30s and 40s for the south, 20s and 30s for the north, and kind of 30s and 40s for the middle and northern plains too. So as far as snow goes, and just precip in general, that's kind of the snow's kind of the main story this time. What is that? Oh, I hate that model. Don't use that. Don't use SLP in precipitation because it's just ugly and I don't like it. No, that's not a good reason to not use the model, but this is just, it shows you precipitation over a few hours, and it shows the surface pressure lines and the middle atmosphere height lines, and it's just a big cluster. I don't like it. So I go to total precip accumulation if I want to look at that for rain and stuff. But looks like maybe end of this weekend and early next week, the deep south could get some pretty serious rain in some places. But otherwise, most of the precip you see showing up on here is actually frozen. So we're just going to go over to Pivotal and check out some of the snowfall forecast. So if you've watched the last couple of videos, I like to look at the Kuchera model as opposed to the 10-to-1 model because it theoretically gives a more realistic idea of what the snow totals will actually look like. So you can just play this forward in time, and you see that the Midwest is really going to be getting the brunt of winter precip over the next several days, and parts of the northern plains as well. And I talked about lake effect snow on the last couple videos. That's going to be a thing again over the next several days and into next week, because the way the surface winds are setting up, again, they're going to be blowing right across the Great Lakes. So New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, parts of Wisconsin. There's going to be some lake effect on the agenda for you guys. And if anybody has seen videos from the the Buffalo Bills NFL game, was it yesterday? I think yesterday, the day before, I don't remember, but that was lake effect snow falling on that game, and you saw that it just dumped inches and inches of precipitation in a really short amount of time. That's the way lake effect snow works. It's like, it's like a heavy rainfall event, but it's snow. It just pumps that stuff out. So if you live in those areas, keep that in mind. That is definitely on the table for you guys over the next several days. And if you're coming to this actually, let me back up. That's the main story for weather this week. If you're coming to this video and you haven't been to the website, it's not up yet because I'm still editing it, but it will be up shortly. I just did a video on thermals and what they normally look like. Obviously you can't see them in real life, but if you just YouTube something called Rayleigh-Benard convection, you'll see visualizations like this where you can actually look at what thermals look like in the real world. So if you haven't already, go check that video out. It should be really useful if you're someone who hunts in places where thermals are a big issue. But otherwise, oh, just a heads up, so Christmas is coming up in a couple weeks, and I will be back home in Oklahoma with family, so there's a good chance that there won't be a video come out on Monday or Tuesday like they normally do. It'll probably be later in the week, or I'll have to see what things look like once I get home. But if it looks like I'm going to be busy most of that week, which is very possible, I may put out a video the weekend before to kind of give an overview of what Christmas week might look like, because I'm sure there'll still be some people out hunting with, you know, holiday antlerless seasons and people still trying to catch up with some late season mature bucks. So anyway, that's what the weather looks like for this week. Good luck, everybody. See you next time.